Hello everybody, I'm just in here in my greenhouse today doing a little bit more work on those honeyberries. I got turned towards a couple of great videos on how one should prune blueberry bushes, and since these are pretty much the same thing, I'm just going to go with that. So let's take a look and I'll show you what I'm doing and try and explain it as I'm going. First off, let's take a look at this hascap berry. To me, well, yesterday, this looked really nice and full, but according to what I was looking at, this is in fact too full. I'm going to want to clean out some of the stems from in the middle here so that I get adequate airflow through here. And I'm going to want to take care of anything that's kind of crossing over or shorten up branches that will be just too long to bear the weight of any fruit that might be on there. As was pointed out in one of the videos that I was watching, while it goes against our basic instincts, one of the best ways to get something to grow is to cut it back strategically. So that is what I'm hoping to do, because I love blueberries and I love raspberries, and the idea of something that tastes like both, oh yeah, I'm digging on that idea. So let's just get to it. Alright, so now that I've got this elevated, let's just take one last look at it before I start hacking away at it. Being me though, I'm sure that the vast majority of the cuttings from this will not go to waste, but I will instead try and clone them off. Because when it comes to fruit-bearing plants, more is better, right? Okay. My battery's dying, so I'd better get started. So one of the recommendations was to start in the middle, because that will help the most with airflow. It's going to be kind of tricky to try and do this while holding a camera, but let's just see. Alright, well, it looks like I'm going to start here, because that's kind of growing in towards the middle where I need the airflow. Get that out of there. Just to keep my cuttings moist here, I've got, as always, a Folgers can with some of my fish water in there. Give them at least a fighting chance. Now let's see. Looks like this one here is going to have to go because it's crossing over and going up through the middle. So where's the base of that? Take that out, plunk it into my coffee can. Let's see here, what's next? Can't decide if I should leave this one on there or not. Doesn't look like it's going to interfere with anything, so I think I will. This little guy cutting across the bottom though, it's my understanding that's not in keeping with best practices from what I understand, so this guy across the bottom can go. Looks like I've got a couple potential clones on there. Came free with a weed. Okay, so what's next? I could cut this up a little bit, but I'm thinking what I'm going to do instead is maybe spike it, stake it down with something, kind of spread it out that way. If that doesn't work, then I will cut some of these off. But I do want it to be spread out for airflow. And I want it to be kind of balanced, because we get a lot of wind in the valley here. Spread out it will look just a little bit different, but I'm thinking this little guy down here needs to go. I think I'll pull off some of these interior branches here. This one here. Now I do have some berries on here, so I want to be somewhat careful, because so I don't want to disturb those. I don't like the look of this one. I think I'm going to take that off. I suppose a lot of folks are probably wondering why I'm not using, pruning shears. I just find that with these slightly woodier stems, a pair of wire cutters, for me, just works out a lot better. That's looking pretty sparse compared to what it was. On one hand, I'm feeling like maybe I'm cutting too much, but on the other hand, the areas that I'm leaving will get lots of light, lots of airflow. And I'm getting lots of potential clones, so hopefully they'll become new bushes on their own. Let's see here. Take out this one. Get rid of this one. Still looking a little crowded in this area here. Looks like this branch has a few I can pull off of it. Gonna need both hands for that though, so we'll get back to that in a second. So now that I've finished, for now anyway, with my initial shaping of this Haskap berry, which is one of the Honeyberry varieties, it sure looks kind of barren and naked compared to what it was. But the areas that I've left are fairly strong. There should be good airflow. There should be lots of light getting to it, especially compared to what it was. And I have a whole lot of potential plant starts sitting as so-called waste. Alright, one berry down, one to go. Alright, so here we have the Polar Jewel Honeyberry, and this is just an incredibly dense little plant with a ton of blossoms on it, so it's gonna rip my heart out, I think, to cut some of this stuff off. But I'll go at it carefully, and much like the huskberry, anything I cut I'm gonna try and root. My camera is dying though, so I'm gonna try and do some of this off camera, and I'll show you a few steps along the way. Thanks for bearing with me. We'll get right back. Once again though, my first objective here is I'm going to be looking for ones like this that are kind of pushing their way through and up the center or crossing over, and I'm going to try and get as much airflow that way as I can while removing as little of this plant as possible. So here's to hope. Well, here we are with the Polar Jewel Honeyberry. I would like to have cut certain parts of this a little bit differently than I did, but fruit has already set in more than a few places on this, which is wonderful news. So I really didn't want to cut those off, and unfortunately this thing has just grown so tightly in there. I think it'll be a process of a couple of years before I've really got that shaped quite how I want it. Still, much better airflow, much better light, and a whole bunch of cuttings. So I'll do something trying to root those, a little bit more research first, and then I'm on my way. Well, there you go. First shaping of my honeyberry bushes. Thank you all for your advice so far, and thank you for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day.